Nick Sorensen talked today. He did so much better today than he did his first time around. The first time around, this is my impression of Nick Sorensen. So we're going to play really hard defense, and we're going to fly around and be so energetic and violent. And it's like, buddy, today he loosened up. He had a personality. He was energetic, and I got it. Then Talanoa Hufanga came out, and I asked him, why do all these players seem to like Nick Sorensen so much? And he immediately says, he reminds us of D'Amico. He's got that D'Amico energy. He knows D'Amico's system, and he's got that upbeat, positive style of coaching and teaching, which maybe Nick Sorensen's like D'Amico, or maybe it just means that they really freaking hated Steve Wilkes. But it seems like for Wilkes, not only did they not buy in, but they just didn't buy in. Like, we're not playing for you, buddy. I think they're going to play for Sorensen, and that's good.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think there really is something to being an ex-player. You know exactly what it feels like to be a player. You know what it takes to get through a season. You know the toll that it takes on your body. You know the toll that it takes on your family. You know everything that goes into it. And so you really can be that person that other players can lean on and talk to and be like, huh, you know what this is like, coach. Like, I don't got to tell you, but this is what I'm going through. And this is, and that's what leadership's about. It's easy to sit up there and call plays and be disconnected or do whatever. But there are times where you've got to have those one-on-one situations, man to man, person to person, human to human, not player to coach. And you've got to have those interactions. And I think knowing that Sorensen has that background is very comforting for them. He has been around for a couple of years. He saw exactly what it looked like with D'Amico and what the players liked about that. You fast forward to Wilkes. He knows exactly what they don't like about Wilkes. And so he can learn from both of those scenarios. I hope that it works out really well. I also know that no matter how good he is, he's likely going to struggle in year one because there were times where the fan base wanted D'Amico fired. And there were times where they wanted Saleh fired. And that all happened in year one. I don't know that it will be any different. I don't know that they will be better than the number 3 scoring defense in the league, in which they were last year. And if he's not, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure, but it would be a little disappointing because you're trying to upgrade at the coaching spot.
Also, it feels kind of like the players are, what are they doing? They don't want to change the scheme, and it's like they're blaming the step back they took on defense last year on maybe Steve Wilkes trying to change certain things. Well, maybe Steve Wilkes wasn't the right guy, but they have to change certain things. Like, they need to evolve, which is why Brandon Staley's here. Frank, I mean, I'm not going to say that word anymore. That's why Brandon Staley's here, because they want to evolve, they need to evolve, and they know it. And so it seems like they're a little resistant to that. They have a little nostalgia for the D'Amico Ryans era. Everything worked. Well, okay, but they need to, I guess they're going to test that. They went back in time to 2022 to their system. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, and I think that they're supremely talented. It's interesting because you see new players coming in on defense, and it seems like a little bit of a shift on offense. You're looking at it saying, all right, is the philosophy going to change on offense? Are they going to go more 5 wide? Are they going to go more empty sets? You saw it in the Super Bowl. You heard Kyle Shanahan say that's what Brock Purdy's comfortable with. Then you look at the defense, you bring in Staley. You start to see these simulated pressures give the 49ers issues. Maybe Kyle's going to implement that. But then when you start asking these players and these coaches questions, on both sides, they continuously say, well, we're going to do what we do. We're not going to change a whole bunch. We know what we're good at. We're going to stick to that. And I don't know if that's going to be true. We'll see what's sprinkled in and what's not. But it is a little disappointing to hear that, because there is some fun stuff happening in the league that other teams are doing that is working against your offense, Kyle, and same thing that is working against other opposing defenses. And now you have a personnel that you can do some fun things with. I don't know that they will. It seems like they could, but it also seems like they're fine doing it their way because it's work.
And their way is very specific. It started with Saleh. D'Amico was there, and it's like, we don't do a lot. In fact, you kind of know what we're going to do schematically, but we give the most effort of any defense in the league. We play the hardest, we hit the hardest, we run the fastest, and we have this coach who's one of us. We feed off his energy. He's not a Debbie Downer. He's so optimistic and enthusiastic. That's what we need. We don't need a guy who has a bunch of different pressures or coverages. We're not trying to trick you. We want a guy who's upbeat and one of us. That's who Salah was. That's who D'Amico was. That's who Steve Wilkes wasn't. And I guess they're saying that's who Nick Sorensen is. He's one of them. They can feed off his energy. It's a vibe. I sort of buy it. I think that's kind of defense is a lot of that. But still, Brandon Staley wouldn't be here if that was all it was.
Yeah, I also find that interesting because what it seems like they like is also the polar opposite of who Kyle is.
Thank you.
Like, you guys all want this type of coach, and that is not at all Kyle Shanahan. So do you not vibe with your head coach? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they don't, but it does seem a little strange because Kyle's the schematic guy. He's not the high energy guy. He's not, you know what I mean? He's the exact opposite of what they seem to like. It's so interesting to me.
Did you notice that, like, when people ask Christian McCaffrey, like, why are you so excited to re-sign with the Niners? Or when they ask George Kittle, like, why are you optimistic about your chances to win the Super Bowl this year? They always mention the core group of guys, great group of guys. No one ever says Kyle anymore.
They used to.
They used to. He'd be one of the. We have a great coach. We have the best coach. Now it's got a great. I love this locker room. Great group of guys. Good staff. Good training room. You know, but no one ever says Kyle's name anymore. Pay attention, people. That's happening right now. You noticed.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely noticed. And in the past, they would bring up Kyle all the time in those situations. So I don't know that there's. I'm not going to go as far to like.
I don't know either.
I just that's whatever. But
yeah.
But it is noticeable. It is palpable. It's definitely there. They're not mentioning his name as far as an asset to the reason that they're winning. Doesn't mean they don't think he is, but it is a different tone for sure. But this whole offseason's been a different tone.
I have a bonus question for you.
Yeah.
Would the 49ers be better now if after they lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship game and Kyle got Brock hurt? Yes, Kyle got Brock hurt. If they had fired Kyle, promoted D'Amico, would they be better right now? You know the defense wants to play for him. He's doing pretty good in Houston. They have the same system. I don't know. I guess we'll never know. But it's something to think about.
God, it is impossible to know.
It's impossible.
But D'Amico's done a really good job early. He's done a really good job. Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if the players think about that sometimes too.
They would have been better off. I will say that they would have been better off if they would have traded Kyle and promoted D'Amico, because at least you would have had a couple more picks to use. That would have been helpful.
That's why you're the co-host of this show. Boom. You just nailed it. Absolutely. Imagine if they had traded Kyle after 2022 and promoted D'Amico. Imagine what could have happened. Probably they would have won 8 Super Bowls in the last 2 years if they had done that, but they didn't.
8 Super Bowls.